You're listening to WDAP Radio.
Oh, can you tell us about your daily show, Gossip on the Go with Flo?
It consists, I'm on a little better than 20 radio stations around the country. I'm syndicated by Super Radio, and it consists of 3 stories every day, and I write a radio feed, and then I record a show every single day, Monday through Friday, and send it out. And I'm live on 4 stations.
That's a lot of work, Flo.
I know it's a lot of work. I'm busy over here. It's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work. And how long has that show been on?
Since 1996.
Wow. That's a testimony within itself.
I've hung in there through the test of time.
Yeah, because I know you were on WDKX Radio 103.9 up in Rochester, New York.
Yes, I'm on there every single morning on the Wake Up Club.
You're on the Wake Up Club with this guy, with Tariq and them in the morning?
With Tariq and DJ Rain, Psych, yep.
Excellent.
Now, you have any hot news you want to share with us?
Well, today, stories I did 50 Cent. He's dating this girl. Her Instagram handle, and I had the story up, but I had the feed up, but I was I can find it here. I was working on tomorrow's story, tomorrow's feed. But I have to look at this because I can't remember everything I write all day. But he took this girl to the Power premiere. Today's December 4th, right?
Yep.
Let me scroll down to December the 4th so I can tell you her Instagram handle and then her real name. She's actually an aspiring attorney and personal trainer. Okay, here we go. Her Instagram handle is Cuban Link, but her real name is Jamira Haynes. But they just recently, nobody knew too much about her, but they just recently, Thanksgiving weekend, some pictures of them got released on her Instagram, and they were in an exotic location by a pool. There were a lot of palm trees around. And then I did another couple story about Winnie Harlow and Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton. They were at the British Fashion Awards the other night, and Janet Jackson presented Rihanna with an award there.
Oh wow!
Oh, okay.
And the last one was Nene Leakes was down in Florida at this drag queen spot, and these people thought she was this drag queen named Tiffany Fantasia. But then when they found out it was Nene, they weren't mad either. Everybody wanted a selfie. So those are the 3 stories I did today.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. So you enjoyed it? You enjoyed it daily?
Oh, I love my radio show. I love it so much.
What is your opinion of the Formula One driver? He's very internationally known, but here in the States, he's relatively unknown here in the U.S. But he's big time overseas, and
he's big time overseas, and he's hot. He dates all the hot women. I mean, see, at one time he was dating Nicole Scherzinger. I think he might have even dated Rihanna at one point.
He did.
He's all over the place.
That's when I first heard of him, when he was dating Rihanna, and I looked him up. And gosh, this guy has been doing his thing over there. Do you think he'll ever be popular here in the States?
Well, I think as he dates more American women that people get to know. It's my business to know everybody, so I followed him for years.
Right.
And this whole thing with him and Winnie Harlow is not anything new. They were first spotted together 3 years ago in 2016, but he denied then that they were dating. Then they were seen again in 2017, then again in 2018, and then Monday night. So obviously something happening over there.
Right.
You know?
I guess he could get away with denying it overseas, I guess, but not,
Yeah, but no, you just, 4 years later, you're still hanging out together. I think something's happening. Get it together, Lewis. Get it together.
Yes, indeed. Because he keeps winning on the Formula One circuit.
Yeah, he's some kind of a race car driver. And the thing with 50, 50 gets on my nerves because he gets up in the morning and figures out who he's going to mess with that day. I mean, it is his job every day to make somebody miserable, in my opinion. But he seems to I hope he's nice to his sister because, please, he is a terror.
Wow.
Did you cover his relationship with Vivica Fox?
Yeah, I covered it. That's my main girl, Viv. I covered it.
Okay.
In fact, I did a story last year in the Daily News about she had him in the book, and he tweeted out he had to wake up this morning he used expletives to the story. Oh, 50.
There's something else.
Now, if I was to ask you, Flo, your top 3 entertainment interviews over your great career, who would you say and why?
They're going to surprise you. The first one is Sylvester Stallone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was, a young, a junior flip, and he talked about the challenges of life. I think it's when he did that soccer movie. I got a chance to interview him. I can't think of the name of it. With L.A. This was a long time ago, back in the late 70s, maybe early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and he talked about how everything in life was a challenge. And so I went home to Michigan and I had the tape and showed it to my mother. My mother said, you really need to listen to what that man is saying to you. And so that's always stuck in my mind. After that, anytime you get to talk to Michael Jackson, it's got to be Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Any interview with him has always been great. And I had the opportunity to take Inside Edition on the set of, what is the song?
Thriller?
No. It was a song. Spike directed the video.
Scream?
No, I was at the Scream video too, but Spike didn't direct that. It's on the tip of my tongue. You don't really care about us.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. And that, he gave me that opportunity. He said, whatever they pay you, just keep it. You negotiate with him. So he gave me that type of opportunity and that kind of entree. And yes, I also was on the set of Scream with he and Janet. And I'm just trying to think of this third one that, I don't know, I've loved them all a lot. That I think, I don't know, maybe anytime I talk to Spike, because he always has revelations and is highly intelligent.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were one of the few people that knew about Michael's love triangle with Debbie Rowe and Lisa Marie Presley, right?
I was there.
Tell us about that.
I went to London with Michael, and he flew Debbie out of there, and then the next day he flew Lisa Marie in there. I was there.
Oh, okay.
I saw that with my own two beagle eyes. Mm-hmm.
And how did that play out in the media and everything?
Well, I don't know how it played out in the media. We all did, but I don't think they went as crazy about it. I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't believe it, that he was macking like that. It was just unbelievable to me.
Yeah. It's...
Because he said, he plays such a nice guy.
Right.
Yeah, right. He's probably most like his father. They think it's Jermaine, but it's really him.
Mm-hmm.
Really was him.
Mm. Now, he's been mischaractered tremendously over the years, especially before his transition. Why do people hate on celebrities and athletes the way that they do, but then at one point you're cheering for them and then they turn on them in such a way? over innuendo
Well, I
and
think
things.
with MJ, what people didn't understand when his skin color changed, which is when he died, and that autopsy report came out that said he had vitiligo. I was so happy
Right.
that it said that, because he did have vitiligo, and he had the wherewithal and the resources to go ahead and change his skin. You can't get it, back brown.
Mm-hmm.
He had the resources to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And people thought he was just doing it because he wanted to look white, but he truly had vitiligo.
Right.
I mean, you look at a Winnie Harlow, she does very well with that vitiligo.
Yes.
You know?
Mm. Now, who are your top 3 sports interviews?
Oh, God, that's a loaded question because all my friends are athletes. I gotta say Michael Spinks. I have to put him number 1.
Right.
But I've talked to everybody. I mean, I can't give a top 3 of sports interviews. I guess you would have to say Ali because he was the greatest. And then, boy, I've talked to so many people. I mean, I have to even put Bill Cosby in top interviews. I used to talk to him for hours.
Right.
He used to just sometimes call me. Wynton Marsalis used to sometimes just call me. And we're still very close. I can't give you a top 3 of athletes.
Well, why don't I rephrase it?
I've talked to so many people.
I know that you're so fond of Michael Spinks. What type of person is Michael Spinks, and do you think he'll ever get his true credit in what they did for boxing, especially that 1976 Olympic class?
Team,
yeah.
Yes. He's Michael Spinks. Is my favorite person in the world, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person, and he's very quiet. He's very well spoken. He's very kind. He's just terrific. I can't say enough about how wonderful he is.
And he's your favorite sports interview, obviously.
Yeah, I talk to him every day though, several times a day. But back when in the day, I think I first met him about '83, and so it was always, a very good interview.
I wanted to tell you something too about O.J. Simpson. Did you know Mr. Wilson, when he was living, since O.J. left the Buffalo Bills, he would not allow number 32 to be issued to any player. And he never formally retired it, but he would not allow 32 was not worn in the city of Buffalo on the Buffalo Bills team since 1977.
And it shouldn't be, because nobody was as great as he
is.
And OJ's always been a good interview too. I can't say he was a better interview than the other person was in the interview, because I've liked them all, and I've interviewed everybody.
And
there's very few people that I have not interviewed. The only person that I wanted to interview, I never interviewed, was Jackie Onassis.
Oh wow!
Okay. I'm just saying, everybody else I've pretty much,
Did you come close to interviewing her?
Not really, because she didn't too much give them. But I've been in her presence.
Okay.
What I wanted to tell you, Flo, was that the head coach
and now I'd like to interview Meghan Markle. I'd like to do that.
Oh, okay. Well, what I wanted to tell you was that head coach Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, he issued number 32 this year after 40 years to a backup player, Saneris Perry, and special teams.
Terrible.
That's what I wrote an article about it, had a petition out, but, these people do whatever they want to these days, and they issued number 32 to basically a backup player for the Buffalo Bills, which I think is absolutely terrible.
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I agree.
It just shows you. It just shows you, unfortunately, the ignorance of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to ask you also, Flo, how do you see the New York print media? You've been to Daily News, New York Post. How do you see the print media, and how do you basically see how it's viewed today in this modern age?
Well, the New York Post is still real popular. The Daily News online, of course, sells much better than the Daily News print. And a part of that is because the Daily News is now part of a conglomerate. You know, Trunk bought it, and they own L.A. Times, Chicago Sun-Times, Sacramento Bee, quite a few papers around the Miami Herald. And so that's part of the problem there. I think they even print in Chicago. Yeah, they don't print in New York anymore. But you know, people are not picking up newspapers and buying them as they once did. They're buying them online, and that's not a good thing because you still get more inside of the print newspaper than you get online.
You certainly do, and I notice a lot of people now. You're seeing people say they see it online, but they're really not reading the paper. They may read one article or
one article, then you're not reading. There you go. No. So you're missing a lot.
Yes.
When you don't actually pick up the newspaper.
Do you think that will ever change back, or do you see?
I'm hoping it will because now kids need glasses more because they're on devices and online. So I'm hoping that people will start to pick up books and to pick up magazines and to pick up newspapers.
Yeah, I actually, working in the newspaper industry, starting to see younger people starting to look at newspapers a little more than in the past because on those phones and remember those Kindles was out for a little while? People just weren't able to read the information, to garner the information.
No, I agree with you. You get much more in the regular newspaper and magazines, and then you can easier go back and reference things too.
Exactly.
Now, Flo, you also like horse racing. How did you get into that?
I always liked horses, but my father couldn't afford one, so I didn't have a horse. But I've always been fascinated with them. And then I started going to the Kentucky Derby because one of the characters in my book is Vance Dumas, who's a black jockey. And in fact, his horse Wild and Out ages out of being able to compete because, those are 2-year-olds. And so then he gets an all-black polo team.
Now, I wanted to ask you, too, who was Rona Barrett?
She was the first real gossip columnist. When I was a kid coming up, she was on TV, and I'm going to tell you a story. She had Rona Barrett. She's on TV. She had the magazine, Rona Barrett's Hollywood, little blonde lady. And she was who originally was doing all those interviews. Like one time I was a kid, her and she was interviewing Cher, and they were in the bed, and they had on these fabulous peignoirs. And she was the one doing all those celebrity interviews, and then ABC took it away from her and gave it to Barbara Walters.
Wow.
Oh, that's what happened?
Yeah, and I'm sure she's totally retired by now, but she, her latter life, she sold real estate out there in Los Angeles. And when I was a little kid, they used to call me the Black Rona Barrett. My friend Barbara Dean did.
Now, you also worked with Joan Rivers?
Yes, she was like my aunt. I started my TV career on the Joan Rivers show. And was on there for the duration. I think she ran 3 or 4 seasons.
Wow. It is a remarkable and outstanding career. You are one of my favorite people. And
you guys are too much.
I'm always posting our picture on Facebook from that was.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was at the Miami Super Bowl.
Yeah, thank you so much. Were you in Atlanta last year?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was right on Radio Row.
We didn't take a picture?
No, I didn't see you.
Oh, I was in the media center a lot.
I was right on Radio Row, but I was working.
Oh, you know what? I didn't go over to Radio Row, though. I was mainly, I hang out in the lounge because, I could really kind of do my work in there.
Right. Well, you're going to have to come by Radio Row this year. George and I will be there. We're going to be streaming on multiple mediums.
But I was over there sometime because, they had a lot of stuff in the middle of everything.
Right. Yeah.
Were you there when they brought in Patrick Mahomes?
Yes, he was over there with the Old Spice booth. I
was right there.
Yeah, we were to the right of the Old Spice booth, towards the middle section there.
And over there where they had that little mini golf thing, I kept trying
Right.
to win
Yeah.
stuff. I wasn't winning.
Yeah, me
I was
either.
over
I
there.
couldn't win that golf thing either. I tried that.
We
one.
weren't far from the Fox booth either. Fox Sports was over to the left.
Okay, because you had to walk past Radio Row to get in and out of there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were there.
Oh,
I was
all
rocking
right,
and
well,
rolling. I interviewed Les Brown that day, George and
Oh,
myself.
nice.
Yes.
So we had a lot of good interviews that day. But we'll be streaming from Miami the whole week, so you're going to have to make
great.
sure that you come by and spend some time with us.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Now, when is your novel coming out?
You know what? I don't have a date. I'm hoping Christmas 2020. It's why, because it's a Christmas novel, so probably like September 2020.
Now, do you sit down and just take notes when you get an inspiration or write at
No,
certain
the
times?
book just kind of, and this one's not rocking and rolling out of me the way the others did. So that's what's taking it. And then I'm also very busy, a lot busier now than I was before. So it'll get done, though.
You know, I had another question for you, too. I know you went to Howard University. Did you play
Yes.
any role in journalism at Howard?
No, I didn't. I was, at that time, I was attempting to, I took a break from being a writer and was attempting to be an actress. I was in the School of Fine Arts.
Gotcha.
So I really didn't work for the Hilltop or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Now, what year were you at Howard?
You don't need to know.
Now, I was asking you because, you know, my dad taught there.
Who, I know your father?
No, I don't know if you know him. He taught there from 66 to 70.
Oh, no, I didn't get that.
No,
wasn't
I didn't
that
think
early.
so.
No.
No.
No, I came after that.
Okay, because we were down there for a funeral. Dr. Leon Butler had passed. His funeral was there. And while we were there, we went by my father's old laboratory area in Thurkill Hall. And somebody had known my father, and they ended up giving my mother, who's now, I won't say her age, but she's
Yeah, 'cause
proud.
they hit you in the head, too.
She's proud of being up there. They gave her a posthumous award for my father when we were there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was very touching. And you know, the hills there, we kind of had to wait, because we didn't want my mother climbing up all those hills in that area. So.
Yeah, those. You know what? I was at homecoming 2 years ago. It was my sorority's anniversary, and so they have that tailgate and down, and I was up and down that hill. I was like, I was in the College of Fine Arts. I didn't walk up and down this daggone hill 40 years ago. So why am I up and down this hill all day?
Right. Howard is very hilly. It has some hills
I'm like,
there.
this is ridiculous.
So what are your plans? We're down our last 3 minutes. Do you have any plans this week that you can talk to us about that you're working on?
When I finish with you guys, I got to write tomorrow's radio feed. And then Michael Spinks will be here Friday. He's giving out toys, the Friars Club on Saturday. So that's kind of my weekend. And then next week, I have a very busy week. I have a bunch of Christmas stuff. Things almost every day I have some holiday activities.
Are you going to watch the fight Saturday?
Now that's Caressa Shields fight.
No, that's the rematch with Anthony Joshua.
Oh, Anthony Joshua and Ruiz.
Right.
From Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Saturday night.
Right. Yeah. Sometime Saturday.
If it was Friday night, I guess Mike we'd go somewhere and try to see it. But I'll be at my house. He'd be back in Wilmington. I don't think I'm gonna get it on Saturday.
Okay. But
Saturday during the day we're giving out toys and stuff. So I doubt that. We got things to do.
Okay.
But I don't know who you think's gonna win, Anthony Joshua.
I think so.
Then he and Deontay will finally fight.
They need to.
Yeah, they really need to.
Yeah, 'cause this is ridiculous.
It is. They don't make the fights when these guys are in their prime like, it used to be. And
that's the problem with boxing today. They don't seem to have the
But the heavyweight division is picked up, because we've been, they've been flying Mike out as a, heavyweight legend. So, it's picked up in the last couple of years.
Oh, that's good.
It truly has, in my opinion.
Yes, and you see it's starting to make that comeback, and hopefully you'll get some more fights back on regular TV and be able to garner the up-and-coming fighters.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. So, because this boxing is coming back. You know, the UFC had kind of pushed it asunder, but it's coming back.
Well, I want you to do us a favor, Miss Anthony. Please tell Michael Spinks that we respect and honor his career. He's one of the finest fighters I have ever seen. He was a class act to the
Greatest
sport.
light heavyweight ever.
No
Undisputed.
question about it. Great
Undefeated.
fights. Great fights.
Yes,
And you
not
are
a bad heavyweight. So.
Yep. And you're one of my favorite people. You have to promise me. You have to stop by and see us at the Super Bowl. We'll be there.
I will certainly do that. I will not forget.
Please don't. I mean, it's a great pleasure.
And I love Miami, so.
Yes, indeed. Wonderful place to have a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
It is. And you know where else I used to like the Super Bowl? New Orleans.
New
of course,
Orleans.
but it's changed so much.
Right.
Because I used to think the owners should all just chip in and have it in New Orleans every year.
Absolutely.
But San Diego wasn't a bad place for the Super Bowl either. The weather was beautiful. The city was beautiful. It was very nice.
Yes, it was. The stadium was awful, but...
Well, that's why they're not in the team.
Exactly. I remember Paul Tagliabue said that. He said, we're not coming back here unless you get another stadium.
Super Bowl, there's no team.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But it was a pleasure having you on. I hope
Thank you so much.
I hope you come back. I know you're very busy. I appreciate you taking time with us.
You can have me back anytime. I love to run my mouth.
We'd love to have you.
Trouble. I'll be in trouble with NABJ. I'll be in trouble with the Me Too movement. I'm just going to be in trouble.
All right. Take care of yourself.
All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in to Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba and George Radney. We will be back here next week, right here on Pro Talk.
WDAP Radio, Spreaker.com.